Hi, my name's Nick with Machine Gun Dad. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have ourselves a Mauser manufactured P-38 made in 1943 with a Nazi stamp magazine. This thing is fascinating. This is one of my dream guns, and he has 5 of them. So you can understand why I'm going to be quite excited while taking this apart. And in fact, taking this apart is a lot different than I thought it would be. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. We've moved in close. Now, the first thing you do on every firearm you will ever touch when you try and take it apart is make sure that you show clear. So it's got this magazine release is on the bottom of the grip. Engage that. Pull the entire magazine out. This is a really good magazine release, as you've heard in a lot of our other videos. I'm not a big fan of this style, but this is a really nice and big magazine release on the bottom end of the grips. This one I actually do like. Now, your next step, obviously, you're going to be grabbing on the slide, pull that to the rear, and show clear. No rounds anywhere to be found. So, to field strip this gun, you are going to have to pull the slide to the rear and engage that slide lock. So, like so. Pull the gun to the rear, or the slide to the rear, slide lock is engaged, and you're going to notice another lever on the front end of the gun. There's also a little cut on that side. You're going to grab that lever and rotate it towards the muzzle of the gun, and you'll see that that cutout is now parallel to the frame of the gun. Now, keeping a hold of that slide, you're going to drop the slide lock, keeping a hold of it, because just in case something happens, it's not going to end up damaging parts or flying off the front end of the gun. Just making sure that you have a hand on that, let that ride forward. Once it's forward, you're going to be pulling the trigger to drop the hammer, and that is going to allow you to grab the whole slide and pull off the front end of the gun. Now, one interesting piece to note on the lower end of your firearm is this one actually has captive recoil springs, which is fascinating because a lot of stuff, even today, does not have captive recoil springs. Now, on the slide, top end of the gun, you will see your barrel and lock. Now, in order to disengage the lock and pull the barrel out of the front end, you are going to have to push this button, similar to the Beretta, on the back end, and the whole thing will just slide out the front end. So, there's your slide, there's your barrel and lock. So that is fully field stripped. Let's go ahead and put it back together. First step of reassembly is going to be getting your lock and barrel back into the slide of the gun. So, as you saw, the lock will move as you push that button on the rear. So, whenever you go and put the barrel and lock back into the slide, in order to get the gun back together, that lock has to be down, making sure that the barrel does not come out. Then you're going to take your lower, and these cutouts on the back end of the slide will correspond with the guides on the side of the frame. So you're going to take your lower and your slide, lining these guides up while making sure that lock is still down. If that lock ends up kicking up, it's going to end up binding, and you're just going to have to pull the whole thing off and then push it back down and then reassemble it anyway. So lining those up, run it to the rear, making sure that everything is now looking like it's fully assembled, but you're going to have to use that slide lock again, pulling it to the rear, locking it into place, and taking that lever on the front of the gun and locking it closed. Now, just to be safe, grab a hold of your slide, let it forward, just to make 100% certain you did everything right and you're not going to send the slide flying off the front end of the gun. So, there's reassembly. Now, you just saw me field strip this nice P-38, so it was a bit of a tough decision to decide which one I wanted to field strip. Thanks for coming to the channel.